Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. I'm your host, the Real Gerald Quinn, episode 1023, Showdown Saturday. Of course, I'm gonna first apologize for this podcast coming um, a day late, but you're gonna get it regardless. Big time show. We have This is one of these special times of the sports calendar where you have just almost everything is in play right now as far as the sports goes. All four, yes, really, literally all four professional sports are in action. Are in action. Baseball will be wrapping up soon, of course, with the World Series, but really a special time. October is a special time in the sports calendar, and fall is a special time in the sports calendar. As always, we're going to begin with the game of the week in the NFL. A wild fourth quarter in Denver with the Broncos taking out the Giants, and this is a game that if you are the Giants, if you're the Giants, this is a game that can just absolutely derail your season. The Giants are up 26-8. Um, you just get a just wild fourth quarter. This fourth quarter was one for the ages. You're talking about a situation where 46 points is scored in the fourth quarter. Um, Giants killed themselves. Really should have been able to run out the clock and salt this game away, but the Giants was sloppy in the fourth quarter. Give Denver credit for hanging around and putting themselves in a position to win in the fourth quarter. You allow, if you're the Giants, you allow 33 points in the fourth quarter and go down 33-32. Again, this is the type of loss that could just kill you, that kills your season. It's a game that the Giants should have won. Um, Giants win this game, they are 3-4. And I'm not saying I think the Giants are improved, by the way. Um, they actually look like a professional football team this year. I still, like their defense. Jackson Dart has, provided a spark. I'm still not sold on Jackson Dart as a franchise quarterback. I'm not there yet, but he has provided a spark, has gave that team some belief, um, for the most part. And again, this is a game where if you're a Giants, I mean, you have to find a way to finish this game off. I don't think the Giants can recover from this game. 2-5 in the NFC. The NFC is loaded. And again, I don't think the Giants were a playoff team anyway. But if the Giants were going to do anything, this was a game that you absolutely have to have. Denver goes to 5-2. Give Denver all the credit in the world for hanging in. And still in this game in the fourth quarter. After again, they Denver was dead in the water. This game, Denver didn't score in the first three quarters. Like they were dead again. This was a 26-8 game. This was a 26-8 game at the this game was 26-8 at the 10-14 mark. So you are down three possessions with 10 minutes left. So that is a loss um that's a loss that frankly gets coaches fired. To be honest with you, that's a loss that get absolutely get that gets coaches fired. And again, wild fourth quarter, 46 points scored in the fourth quarter. What is the Denver Nuggets? It's not Denver Nuggets. I'm thinking about the NBA. The Denver Broncos hang on for the victory. Go around the league, a couple of big time wins for these AFC, for a couple of NFC powers who have Super Bowl aspirations. Let's first deal with what the Eagles did to the Minnesota Vikings. So Eagles go on the road, and the Eagles, by the way, Eagles this year have played much better on the road by far than they have at home. Um, Eagles for the most part, with the exception of the Giant lost a couple weeks ago. But the two best wins the Eagles have had this year have been, to me, well, I guess you can toss in the Kansas City win on the road. Well, yeah, that was on the road. So the three biggest wins the Eagles have had this year have all been on the road: at Tampa, at Kansas City, and now at Minnesota. This is a very important win for the Eagles. Eagles had coming off two bad losses, an embarrassing loss to the Giants, and not only do they win against a tough Minnesota team that we know is an excellent defensive team, you get the passing game going. Um, Jalen Hurts, is definitely has to be considered a top three MVP candidate. Um, at this particular moment, I can make a case for him being. I mean, with the way Baker Mayfield struggled against Detroit, can make a case that Jalen Hurts could be the NFL MVP right now. To be honest with you, but this was all about Jalen Hurts, 19 of 23, 326 yards, three touchdowns, and more importantly, we don't have to hear any crying or bitching and moaning from the Eagle wide receivers, in particular AJ Brown. AJ Brown, 4 for 21, two touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 9 for 183, one touchdown. So you get the two big guns going. Everybody can just chill out in terms of critiquing the passing game. Um, was it a complete performance by the Eagles from start to finish? No, but Minnesota is a very good team, very well coached team. Carson Wentz struggled, had two interceptions, but did play well. I thought played well in the fourth quarter and kept Minnesota, somewhat in the game with his performance. After two early interceptions. But listen, this was a feel good. This was again to me an important win for the Eagles, considering how poorly they were playing coming into this game. You get the passing game going. You get a nice road win, and for at least a couple of weeks, you don't have to hear about AJ Brown's touches or Devontae Smith's touches. Again, for at least a couple of weeks. The most impressive performance though of the week to me, by far, was what Tampa Bay did. Excuse me, what Detroit did to Tampa Bay. One of the more impressive performances of the year, considering how well Tampa Bay was playing coming into this game. Detroit absolutely dominated this game, 24-9. This game, to me, I'm looking at Detroit. When Detroit plays defense like this, they are as scary they are they might be the scariest team in the NFL when they play defense like this. We already know what they can do in terms of running the game. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the best backs in the league. Probably I can make a case. I think behind Bijan Robinson, maybe the best back in the league right now. To be perfectly honest with you, he's playing at that level. He goes 17 for 136, two touchdowns. Golf was pedestrian. But again, this was not about golf. This was about the Detroit defense that completely just flustered and shut down Baker Mayfield. Four sacks, held Baker Mayfield, 28 of 50. 28-50 from the 28 of 50, 228. Baker was frustrated all night long. Um, Came into this game as probably the leading MVP candidate. Still certainly up there, but then this was about the Detroit defense. The Detroit defense was spectacular. Aiden Hutchinson was all over the place. He had. It's not even about the sacks. He had um, five quarterback pressures. Again, was just all over. Their defense was. This was one of the better defensive performances, considering the offense they were playing against. This was frankly one of the better defensive performances of the season, and again, an important game from a standpoint of home field advantage. Detroit, Tampa Bay, going. Nobody wants to go to Detroit for the NFC playoffs. Like that's not a place that you really want to play. Again, last year I toss out what happened last year. They had a million defensive injuries. That team was limping defensively into the playoffs when Washington took them out in the divisional round. That's not the same team. If they are remotely healthy going into the playoffs defensively, they are going to be an absolute tough out. to say the least. And right now, certainly Detroit is amongst one of the best teams in the NFL. So I still feel good about Tampa Bay. Anybody can lose to Detroit at home. It's not a bad loss by Tampa Bay. I don't, Tampa they were due. They hadn't lost since the Eagle game, so they kind of were due for a flat performance. But again, I don't think this game was about what Tampa Bay didn't do. I think this game was about the Detroit defense and the potential that this Detroit team has when they defend at this level. Um, they look like I said, they can be one of the more scary teams, scarier teams in the NFL when they defend at this level. So great win for Detroit. Uh, any other stuff that kind of stood out to me over the course of this week of week 7. Um, eh, I nothing. I mean, listen, Dolphins are the Dolphins. The coach is going to get fired at the end of the season, if not beforehand. Patriots keep rolling, so they're doing what they they are. And again, I'm not surprised by the Patriots at all. Very soft schedule, new culture, quarterback. Um, Outside that, like, so I can talk about. I will talk about my own team for a second. The Washington Commanders, who seemingly are in for one of those years where your team overachieves a year, comes back next year with a tougher schedule, with a much tougher schedule, and can't frankly get out of its own way. They by the get embarrassed by the Cowboys 44-22. On top of that, insult to injury, you lose Jane Daniels, excuse me, Jane Daniels for the second. Again, I'm getting my NBA mixed up. My NBA mixed up in terms of Jay McDaniels off the Minnesota Timberwolves. You lose your franchise quarterback for the second time this season. He's already missed 2 games early in the season with the knee. Now you have the hamstring. We all, based off what happened with Lamar Jackson, we all know what that hamstring could look like moving forward. We don't know. He's not playing against Kansas City on Monday night. They're in the midst of the most important stretch of their season where they'll be at Kansas City, home to Detroit, and I believe home to Seattle. So these next 3 games will decide the Commander season. The Bear loss was an absolute killer because you beat the Bears, you're 4-2. Okay, actually with the injury to the wide receivers expected them to lose to the Cowboys, so I'm not surprised by the result. Didn't expect an ass whooping, but I mean, you're not going down there in Dallas. Dallas is playing well offensively, and frankly, don't have the firepower to keep up with them without your top 3 receivers. So again, not surprised by the loss, but even if they beat the Bears, they lose the Cowboys. You're 4-3 going into this stretch, and all you have to do realistically, if you go 1-2 in the next 3 games, then you're 5-5. That's manageable. And probably you more likely you'll get Jaden Daniels back somewhere after that stretch or during that stretch. 5-5 is manageable. Okay, with what 6 games left. That's manageable. That keeps you in the playoff mix. They're realistically right now at 3-4. They could be staring at 3-7 or 4-6. Like 5-5, I mean, to asking them to win 2 out of the next 3 games is gonna be asking a lot considering the competition. But that's why that Bear loss was a killer. And again, in an absolute inexcusable loss. And so, right now, the Commander season is hanging in the balance. They don't have a pass rush. They can't defend on the back end. So every game they're gonna have to they really have to put up about 30, anywhere from 27 to 30 points a game, realistically. Defense is not very good. Like they don't you again, you have to do something. You either have to defend on the back end or have to have a pass rush. They have neither defensively. And I would be surprised if Joe Witt is back next season as a defensive coordinator, to be honest with you. So they have we'll see just what happens in this next 3 game stretch. Again, the Cowboys are going to be one of the more entertaining teams of the season as far as they can score with anybody, but they can't stop anybody. I still don't have no any belief in the Cowboys. They're 3-1. Again, can put up a lot of points, but defensively, I don't think the Cowboys, especially in the NFC, as loaded as the NFC is, should be taken serious. Indianapolis continues to roll. They handled the Chargers 38-24. Again, this comeback story of Daniel Jones, definitely. I mean, he has to be. He's in the MVP. He's forget about comeback player of the year. I mean, Daniel Jones is legitimately in the MVP conversation right now. Looking at his numbers, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, second in QBR. This is one again. I'm telling you right now, what Shane Steichen is pulling off right now is like a fucking minor miracle. I like Daniel. Let me tell you, I didn't think Dan. I thought Daniel Jones would be out the league after the Giants let him go. Like the Giants are one of the worst teams in football last year. They were like, "Yo, we don't want you. Bye." So I didn't like this dude. What he's doing right now. This is one of the best stories. Not only one of the best stories, it might be the best story of the year, without question, the best story of the year. But in terms of just shock value compared to where he was at last year, this is one of the more shocking quarterback stories and comebacks I've seen this decade. To be honest with you, I thought this dude would be out again. He looked last year. His time, his way it ended in New York, he looked like a guy that did not belong in the NFL. And forget about backup, just in general. Like if you had told me that this guy was going to be on a team, I would have took the odds that he would not be on a team. I would have took the bet that he wouldn't be in the league right now. And there's not a lot of great, even as a backup. That's how bad he looked last. That's how bad he looked last year with the Giants. And really, when you look at, I mean, he's had one prior to this season. He had one good year his career, one, um, well, two actually, 2019 and 2022. Uh, yeah, one year, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and another year, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So, yeah, one real good year, another decent year. But for the most part, this guy had been during his tenure with the Giants, especially those last 2 years, he had been one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league. And again, what Shane Steichen is doing right now is one of the great coaching jobs um, that you will ever see in terms of reviving a dead in the water quarterback, a guy that just uh, I would have never like in a million years thought that Daniel Jones would be playing at this level. Indianapolis has always had a excellent offensive line and an excellent defensive line. They've always been good at the point of attack and at the line of scrimmage. It was just a matter of after what happened transpired with Andrew Luck of finding a decent quarterback. And they right now Daniel Jones is playing at a Pro Bowl level. Again, I'm not there with Indianapolis. Indianapolis will make the playoffs. I believe they absolutely will make the playoffs, especially as I look at the standings right now. Um, and the AFC is so bad. Um, once you get past, you know, once you get past Jacksonville and we had Kansas City, there's no question in my mind that Indianapolis will make the playoffs. They're going to win that division. They're absolutely going to run away with that division. I don't trust anybody in that division. I don't even think anybody in that division will catch them or is on their level. But again, I don't Daniel Jones in the playoffs. That's a whole nother story. I'm not quite there yet. Um, if I were a team like Kansas City, Buffalo, um, I wouldn't be um would not be sweating bullets in terms of playing Indianapolis in the postseason. But right now, they've been one of the best feel good stories teams of excuse me of the season. looking at the playoff standings right now, and it's not, it's, we're in week 8, so we're basically at the midway point right now. Um, you're looking at two teams. I'm looking at the AFC right now. So the two teams that came in to this season, overwhelming favorites, not only in the AFC, but along with the Eagles, the overwhelming favorites in the entire league. Not overwhelming, but prohibited favorites in the entire league, or odds-on favorites in the entire league. Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is in the tank. We understand that. Their season, they're 1-5. Season probably season's probably done, more likely done. So we understand with the injuries, Lamar Jackson, we got that part. Buffalo is interesting right now. They're playing awful football defensively. They're back into that mode of Josh Allen, you do everything, and we know that that doesn't work. That has not worked out for them, even when they've made the playoffs. That's not a championship formula for Buffalo. So the AFC is right now kind of open a bit. Now Kansas City is getting healthier. Kansas City has played excellent football over the past month or so. Um, their last loss came against even the Jacksonville loss wasn't a bad loss. I know Jacksonville got destroyed this week, but that was on the road Monday night. That was a winnable game. Kansas City in their last 4 games, their offense has scored 37, 28, 30, and 31. So their offense is rolling again. Um, but even with Kansas City, this is not a vintage Kansas City team. They're not. This is not the Kansas City. We're going to run away and hide from the AFC. So, yeah, you right now, if you had a favorite, I would slightly favor Kansas City, but I don't say that with confidence. Like, if you told me, that Kansas City could be upset in the playoffs uh by Denver, possibly, then it wouldn't be it wouldn't like be something that I would say can't happen. Now, would I bet on it? Of course not. But it's not. You look at the AFC right now. The AFC is kind of open. I'm telling you right now. It's like you look at the top. You got Indianapolis, New England, Denver, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, then Chargers, Jacksonville, Kansas City. Well, Jacksonville's ahead of Kansas City based on a tiebreaker, but Jacksonville, to me, I have no faith in Jacksonville. I definitely would have Kansas City over them in terms of getting that last playoff spot. Matter of fact, I think Kansas City still has a chance. They have another game against Denver. They still have a chance to win that division. To be honest, but they're only one game out of first place behind Denver. So I mean, Kansas City could jump up to 3. But looking at the AFC right now, there is like, I is there one team that I think could win the Super Bowl in the AFC right now? If I'm really like gun to my head, I'm probably not right now. But again, that could change. I don't see a Super Bowl team in the AFC right now. To be honest with you, I don't see when I look at the power, when I look at the top notch Super Bowl contenders, they are all in the NFC. I'm looking at the NFC: Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, and Detroit, and the Rams. Like the NFC right now is, um, you're gonna have to probably win. Look at the NFC right now. There are teams with 3 losses that there's there are teams with 3 losses. Vikings have 3 losses, 3-3. They're in 12th place. Atlanta 3-3, 11th. Dallas 3-3 and 10th. I mean, Carolina 4-3. We'll see how long that lasts. But I like the AFC, the NFC. You're gonna have to have a gaudy record to get into the playoffs in the AFC. I don't think you're getting into the AFC in the playoffs in the AFC with less than 10 wins. To be honest with you, I think you need 10, maybe 11 wins. I would say 10, but maybe you might even need 11 wins to get into the playoffs in the AFC right now. There are 8 teams in the AFC, NFC that have two losses or less. 8, and we're almost halfway through the season. So and NFC teams have really been beaten up on the just a number of horrible teams. I mean, the Saints, Giants, and Cardinals, in particular, are dreadful. But the majority of the conference, 12 of the 16 teams in the conference in the NFC are 500 of or above. 12 of the 16. In the AFC, you only have 8 of the 16 that are 500 and above. So a much higher level of football being played in the NFC right now. I mean, the Rams. I still think the Rams are a top team, and they are right now in seventh place in the last playoff spot, and 0-2 in the conference. So as we embark on November coming along, I still you still have to say that overall Philadelphia they still have to put Philadelphia probably as the team to beat. Um, and but the gap is definitely like those Philadelphia, Detroit, and Tampa Bay are right next to each other. I think the Rams are slightly just a slight notch below. Don't trust Green Bay. Don't trust San Francisco. And I'm not a fan of Seattle right now. I'm not a fan of Seattle. I know Seattle's improved. I know Darnold's playing well, but I'm not there with Seattle. So right now, how many teams could get to the Super Bowl? I would say five. Say Kansas City. Um, I still I'm not done with Buffalo, so I still say Kansas City, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Detroit, and Tampa Bay, and Los Angeles. So six. So I think there's six teams right now that could possibly get to the Super Bowl. NBA season, of course, started last night. You had a very good doubleheader, especially a great first game with Houston and OKC. OKC playing without Jalen Williams, still able to get the victory in overtime, 126, 125. Very, very entertaining game. High level basketball. These are two of the top three teams. I think these are two of the top three teams in the NBA, to be honest with you. I would say if I rank the five best teams in the league right now, I would say OKC, Denver, Houston, uh, OKC, Denver, Houston. I still would say Minnesota, and then probably the Knicks. So those are probably my top five teams in the league right now. Houston again. Houston is going to. I think Houston can match up with anybody with their size. I really think that size is going to be a problem in the postseason. Like, good luck trying to score on them in the half court. Good luck trying to get a rebound against them. If Segun is going to be, I mean, I think he's going to score 39 points, but that guy is only 23 years old. Amen Thompson. Those guys um, have improved. Both of those guys. So you keep Durant healthy, you can get a point guard at any time, especially around trade deadline. There's a million point guards in the NBA. That team will be a matchup nightmare for anybody in the Western Conference. Anybody, including OKC. So they're gonna be interesting. Certainly be interesting. OKC is OKC. They are the favorites to win it all, as they should be. They know Jalen Williams last night. And what you saw last night is you saw the varsity versus the JV. OKC and Houston are in the varsity of the Western Conference. Golden State and the Lakers are the JV. Like the level of play from game one to game two was stark. It wasn't even close. Second game, was somewhat entertaining, but for the most part, Golden State was in control. Golden State, of course, match even with the healthy LeBron. Golden State matches up with with this particular Laker group, but neither one. Listen, the Golden State or the Lakers are not any sniffing the Western Conference. Like those two teams, those two teams' times are done. I have no faith in either one of those teams. The Lakers are clearly, to me, in a transitional year. My expectations of a Laker fan are anywhere from like 6 to 8, or like they could be. I mean, Lakers could definitely be in the play-in, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like I would not be surprised if Lakers were in the play-in for sure. Golden State probably will not be in the play-in, but they will be. I think Golden State probably finishes in the top 6. But I don't in terms of contending in the playoffs or making any noise in the playoffs. I don't trust either one of those teams. They have too much age on them. Number one, and number two, the rest of the conference is just too good. Um, Neither one of those teams are good or as good as Oklahoma City, Denver, Houston, Minnesota, or for that matter, I don't think either one of those teams are even as good as the Clippers. To be honest with you. And you got Dallas still. You got Dallas if they can somewhat stay healthy with Anthony Davis, which is already good luck with that. But Dallas has a lot of talent, especially when they get Kyrie back. I think San Antonio is going to take a jump this year. To be honest with you, I really believe San Antonio has a chance to finish in the top 6. I definitely think they will make the playoffs as far as making the play in. But I like the San Antonio team a lot. Because I think Wembanyama is going to be an MVP candidate this year, and I think Castle is going to take a jump in second year for De'Aaron Fox, second year with in the system, playing with in the system. I think those three, that threesome with some of the pieces that they do have, I really like. Again, I like San Antonio to really be go to a next level. And again, those teams, the Lakers and Warriors times are done. We need to just come to that conclusion. I know people get nostalgic, LeBron, Curry, and what have you, but those teams, when I mean that they're done, they're absolutely done. And again, for the Lakers, this is a transitional year. This is about seeing what the team could look like with Luka. It probably was an absolute blessing in the sky that LeBron was injured to start the season. It's Luka's team. It's clearly Luka's team. I wouldn't even make a trade. I wouldn't even trade LeBron. I'll just let the salary, the $52 million come off the books, and just completely go all in on Luka and build the team around Luka. They signed him to a 3 year, $165 million extension in the offseason. 26 years old. He's going to have an MVP caliber year. He was spectacular last night, even though they lost. But again, those two teams, you saw the varsity versus the JV last night. Now, as far as 5 questions, I have 5 questions that could define the season. Will LeBron finish the season as a Laker? I would say, if I base it on a percentage, I would say 75% yes, 25% no. And 25% no that's a big number for me. I could definitely see a scenario where LeBron is not a Laker. Would not, and again, I don't know where. Probably somewhere probably somewhere in the Eastern Conference, but it would not shock me if he doesn't finish the season as a Laker. This thing could go left very quickly, to say the least. Can OKC win 70 games? Yes, but will they? No, no. I think the West from top to bottom is too hard. Uh, Plus, I don't think it benefits them. Uh, they After you win a championship, you kind of focus on the postseason, develop, keeping guys healthy, what have you. Is it something that that they're gonna really want to chase versus back to back championships? But it's definitely on the table for how talented that team is, especially if Holmgren and Jalen Williams take another step. And I expect if Holmgren is healthy, I expect Holmgren to be not only an All Star, I expect him to be an All NBA caliber player. He has a chance for that. He has that type of upside. Who is OKC's biggest threat? Of course, after last night, you would say Denver, but I probably would lean towards you would say Houston. You could say Houston. I would say, I think it's split between Denver and Houston. I would lean towards Denver because they have the best player in the world. They added some depth. Certainly love the trade, getting Porter out, Cam Johnson in. Um, no Westbrook. which I think is addition by subtraction. To be honest with you, I know he has some moments, but for the most part, his best days are certainly behind him. From that standpoint, I don't think you wanted him in your rotation, or I don't think he could be in the rotation of a championship team. To be honest with you, I hate that he's on Sacramento because that's like you might as well be retired playing if you're going to play with the Kings. So I would lean towards Denver as being the Houston OKC's biggest threat. Though again, Houston is absolutely right there, and again, remember Houston has a lot of draft capital and assets that they can move for possible trade. I'm not talking about Giannis. I don't think that's happening to be honest with you. But just to add a piece, just add a couple pieces, including point guard or veteran shooter, somebody like that. They can add a couple pieces with some of the draft capital that they do have. Will Giannis be traded? I'm gonna say in terms of this year. I'm not talking about the offseason, I'm talking about in season. I'm gonna say no. I think the East is so wide open as far as yeah, Knicks and Cavaliers are favored, but after that, it's kind of like who. I mean, I can make a case for three or four teams being a number three seed behind those two teams. I can make a case certainly for Milwaukee, make a case for Orlando, possibly Detroit, maybe Atlanta if those guys come back fully healthy and take another step up in Daniels and Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson. Um, so I think the East is why it's too open. I think if you're Milwaukee, you probably in the back of your mind might feel like you can actually possibly come out the East because certainly the Knicks and Cavaliers are not world beaters. You know, they're very good teams, but they don't put the fear. They're not nobody's scared of either one of those teams. And there's no again, all the scary teams are in the Western Conference. Like Oklahoma City is scary, Denver is scary, Houston is scary. Eastern Conference has no scary teams. Has some good teams and some up and coming teams, but there are no scary teams in the Eastern Conference. So I think Giannis will remain a buck for this season. Off season, all bets are off. But for this season, I think Giannis finish it will remain a buck and play at his normal MVP caliber level. As far as my pick for the winter championship, I'm gonna go outside the box. I'm gonna say well not so much. I think Oklahoma City repeats. So I'm gonna say Oklahoma City over Orlando in the finals. Yeah, Oklahoma City, Orlando. I had to go outside the box in the Eastern Conference. I don't trust anybody in the Eastern Conference, the Knicks and Cleveland included. I'm sorry, I just don't trust them. This seems like it's gonna be. Listen, Boston. If Jason Tatum could possibly come back, who knows? Boston could be in the mix. Don't rule that out. Don't rule Tatum coming back in March. Do not rule that out. He's already dunking off the vertical. I'm just saying. I mean, Boston should be decent. They should be hovering around that 500 area in the Eastern Conference, though. You know, no, Tatum comes back, who knows? But right now, I would say Orlando and Oklahoma City, with of course Oklahoma City repeating, becoming the first team since the 2018 Golden State Warriors to repeat. Best of the 21st century, instant classic. This is a movie that I think right now has been the best movie of 2025. Of course, Sinners came out back in um, back in April. Movie that I've seen multiple times, at least three times. Saw it once in the theater. I wish I would have saw it more in the theater, but saw it once in the theater. Of course, it's on HBO Max right now. Um, just one of the more in conversation for one of the best movies, not only the best movie of the year, it certainly will do some damage at the Oscars, but in conversation for best movie of the decade of the 2020s. To be honest with you, you're talking about a movie that absolutely will have you doing some research on culture, musical culture, on just the attention to detail, even in terms of how the character is dressed, the the angles of the camera shots is next level. It was not, and this movie was kind of considered a horror movie. It was the furthest thing from being a horror movie to me. It wasn't. I didn't like. Yeah, I know you had vampires, but this was not. This was not about that. This is a movie. This was a movie about race, about culture, about storytelling of music, about friendships, brotherhood. Um, yeah, this was a lot mixed into this movie. I think this is the best performance by Michael B. Jordan. I really think that he took this movie, this performance, uh, took his career, will take his career to a whole nother level. He's already a big star, but there was a question about whether or not he could go from being just a big star to a great actor. I think in this movie he became a great actor. Again, Creed, some of the other movies that he had been in, he he already had A-list Hollywood stardom. We already we know that that was well established. Prior to this movie, I could not call him a great actor. Prior to this movie, after this movie, I think I gotta call him a great actor. To be honest with you, he was that great. He was that the level again, just two different characters with the twins. Uh, really, I think this is just his clearly his best performances. And he's had some. Listen, he was great. He was great and he's been great in Creed. We know what he was in Fruitvale Station. Um, so Black Panther, of course, the first Black Panther. But this movie was he stood out in this movie. This performance was this. I mean, he's playing two different characters with these twins. He's playing two different characters. Those twins were completely different characters. And again, this cast was perfectly cast. I feel like Ryan Coogler is at a level right now that again, only like I think he's only 36. Um, he's at a level right now where when he releases a movie, like you have to see it. You have to see it. Like that's a level, that's Steven Spielberg. That's Paul Thomas Anderson. I just said about One Battle After Another was a tremendous movie as well. That's not a movie that's rarefied air for a director to say like, all right, this guy directed this movie, I have to see it. That's the level that Ryan Coogler is at right now. He's only 39. I'm sorry, he's about to be turned 40 next year. Only 39 years old. Um, I strongly recommend this movie. Just understanding just culture and music and what you know African Americans' contributions towards music and what and just trying cultures, people trying to rip off African American music. There's so much going on in this movie thematically. This movie is so layered. Again, one the best movie I've seen this entire year, which wasn't hard to be. It's not been a great year for movies, but absolutely, maybe, probably the best movie I've seen this decade. It's in that conversation. And I think this movie, as the years go by, will age. It's like I said, I have it as an instant classic right now, but I think we'll be talking about this movie 20, 30, 40 years from now, to be perfectly honest with you. Star turning performance by Michael B. Jordan, in terms of an actor, a great actor turning performance. He was already a star, but this movie made him a great actor to me, in my opinion. Who won the week? Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford for the season at 17 touchdowns, two interceptions. He had a big day. Had a big day against the Jaguars. The Rams absolutely embarrassed the Jaguars. 35-7. He had five touchdown passes. Again, he stays upright. He stays healthy. That team is absolutely a Super Bowl contending team. Um, and Stafford, this is the twilight of Stafford's career. Like Stafford is playing out, still playing like a top 7 to 8 quarterback in the league. There's not maybe like I think Stafford is like probably the seventh or eighth, sixth or seventh best, seventh or eighth best quarterback in the league. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Um, of course, you trust him in the fourth quarter. Obviously, he has some of the best coaching in the NFL with Sean McVay, but that team absolutely can win another Super Bowl with Stafford. He's playing a super high level right now. They have to just keep him upright. The wrong hit with Stafford, and we know it's a wrap with the back. And he struggled to start the season physically. He ended up playing, didn't hasn't missed any games, but right now he's playing. He certainly absolutely has to be considered as well. We talk about the MVP conversation. He has to be considered an MVP candidate. To be perfectly honest with you, so Matthew Stafford wins the week. Going to wrap it up with the college football. Big weekend, big week for college football. A lot going on. Like I said, this no Saturday has disappointed me in college football. None. I'm telling you, it's been the storylines, the coaching situation, um, everything. Let's deal with the games first before we get to the coaching situations. You see Miami, Florida State all go down. It starts off on you, and you knew it was going to be a big time weekend in college football based off not only the schedule, but when Miami goes down on a Friday night, those Friday night games again, Florida State lost to Virginia. They haven't recovered since. I don't expect that to happen to Miami, but Miami better be careful because remember this around this time last year, November, Miami started falling off after a fast start. Louisville physically pushed Miami around. Carson Beck reminded you of the Carson Beck of 2024 with the 4 interceptions. He was awful in that game. Now again, I still think Miami will find a way to make the playoffs. It's going to be a dogfight for them to win the ACC with with both Virginia and Georgia Tech playing great football. But that was a big time performance for Louisville on the road to get it done against one of the top teams in the country. So you give Louisville all the credit in the world from that standpoint. To me, I looked at this as a Saturday where the cream rise to the top and where you saw the big time, big game teams stand out. Georgia is a big game team. They've won championships in the last few couple years. Alabama is Alabama. They've been a big game team for 15 years now, for the better part over a decade. They embarrassed Tennessee. Notre Dame, with what they did to USC, they become a big game team coming off a national championship appearance. Um, so the big game teams stood out. LSU, Penn State, Tennessee, well, LSU and excuse me, Penn State has been done. Of course, Penn State and Florida State are in just crisis mode right now. Both their coaches probably Florida State coach Norvell's going to be out after this year. Penn State, of course, already fired their coach. And they, to no one's surprise, go fall to Iowa. But Tennessee and LSU, I think Tennessee and LSU are done. I don't see them recovering. LSU LSU hasn't scored more than like 25 points in any game this season. They haven't cracked 30 points one time. So they are on Brian Kelly's ass to say they are on his ass from that standpoint. And they have a tough schedule. Um, so they're probably done in terms of the playoffs. You look at the top 10 teams. 8 of the top 10 teams in the AP rankings are either or either Big Ten or SEC. Um, so you had that. That still continues to be a theme of the college football season with the dominance of those two conferences. And of course, you had another coach fired, another coach getting his walking papers. Uh, Brian Napier from Florida. Florida. Listen, we saw this coming a mile away. Napier has been a mediocre coach for the past 4 years. The program is not where it should be. That is, you can win at Florida. It's been proven that you can win at Florida. Like they have three national championships. Okay, of course, two with Urban Meyer, and the other one, of course, with Steve Spurrier. So with that pedigree, with one of the best recruiting states in all of in the country, and with the fact that you're in the SEC, that's a great job. Like I'm sorry, like like that is a big time job, and they have not, for whatever reason, ever since Urban Meyer left, they they're going to be on coach what 5 now since Urban Meyer left. Uh, for whatever reason, they have not coaches have not been able to get the job done in Florida. Again, you absolutely can win in Florida. Florida should be a program that's winning 10 to 12 games a year. You should be able to get. They have great facilities. You have the great. You're on television. Like so, like I don't see how you cannot win in Florida. We know the SEC is tough. It's tough every year. That's the one thing. But there's no excuse. That's a big time job. And if I were a top coach looking for a job, I absolutely Florida would be out of all the jobs that are open. I would take Florida over Florida State. I would take Florida over Penn State, for sure. I would take Florida over, who knows? UCLA might not be open the way this coach, way they're playing lately. But let's say they're open. But yeah, Florida, to me, clearly, would I take Florida over LSU? Yes, I'll take Florida over LSU. It's close. It's very close because LSU has that's a great state for football, the recruiting football and SEC, and they have championship pedigree as well. But I think Florida is an absolute top job. It's not a blue blood. We understand that, but it is that's a place that you should be able to win. I mean, there's no like it's Florida. That is as much. There's as much talent in the state of Florida as any state in the country in terms of football. Period. So we'll see what happens. Um, you're gonna hear Lane Kiffin, his name get tossed around. I don't know if you're gonna hit James Franklin. I don't see James Franklin as a Florida guy myself. I think whoever comes to yeah, I think it might be too soon off seeing Franklin being out at Penn State for a job for him to get a job as good as Florida. He might take a step back and build himself up before he gets another top job on that level. So we'll see what happens. There's gonna be a ton of openings at the end of the year. A ton of openings. You could be, I mean, again, Penn State, Florida, LSU could be open. Florida State's going to be open, for sure. Clemson could be open. So there could be a number of jobs open um, at the end of the season. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. I will see you next week. Have a great rest of your week. So long.